Hey friends, I'm Daniel Nesbitt, and we have a little bit of a bonus episode of the designing a serif in glyphs-mini. So one of the comments that I saw suggested that I probably should tackle the numbers. So I figured in this episode I'd go through and do that. And while I'm going through this, not only will I be talking about the font, but I'll just be kind of going through and just kind of talking maybe about some other things as well that we've got coming up in the future on the channel here. So while I'm doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and get started with something. You'll also notice that I am now including the shortcut keys on my screen. This is something that I've been meaning to do for some time, really. So let me know what you think of that in the comments. Is that something that looks good to you? Do you want me to keep up with this? I know I'm usually a pretty short code, or a shortcut, I should say, heavy kind of person. So maybe that's helpful to you. But either way, let me know. But in the meantime, let's get down and start making some numbers here. So one of the things that I just wanted to get out of the way right away, if you're watching this, hopefully before March 6th, I believe, I am going to be doing a workshop on glyphs-mini, and this kind of actually I think ties in really nice with the end of the series here, but the League of Movable Type has been gracious enough to let me teach a workshop, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And if you've watched this series with interest and you want to get started on your own type journey, then you may want to check that out. So I will have a link in the description below this video if that's something that you're interested in, and by all means go take a look. You might find that it might be right up your alley. So yeah, but anyway, I'm kind of quickly going through these letters, by the way, or sorry, letters. I'm quickly going through these numbers. I don't know if I really have a whole lot to really say about these. I mean, it is one of those deals where it is what it is kind of thing. There are a few comments that I will make. So, for example, here I'm kind of doing a loose 1IL test, and if you're curious of what that is, so basically, when we're designing font, we're thinking about legibility. Move that out of the way there. The letters capital I, lowercase l, and the 1, you'll probably notice this in a few fonts where they kind of look the same. Sometimes they can be difficult to differentiate from. So what I'm doing here is just quickly, as I'm figuring all this out and typing all this out, I'm just going through and seeing if they kind of pass the test. So each of these three basically look different, is what we're getting at here. So that's all I'm kind of doing here. So as I kind of wrap this up too, I mean, the other thing that I've got to think about is there's got to be another series, right? So I'm interested to hear if anybody has any thoughts or opinions on what I should do next, if there's something that's been interesting you perhaps that I haven't touched on. Maybe it's a different app, assuming that I have the app, or you just you want to learn more about a specific style. We can do that as well. So I'm open to those thoughts, ideas, suggestions. So if anybody has those, by all means. The other thing that I was going to point out as well that I think could be kind of fun if we have enough people on board to do it would be a Q&A as well. I know over some time kind of working on these different typefaces and everything that we do get questions from time to time in the comments, people asking about certain things, maybe different ways that I'm doing stuff. So just, maybe there's a question that you've got that I haven't answered in some way, shape, or form, and maybe it'd be kind of fun to do like a little Q&A session just to kind of wrap this up as well. So not to add a whole bunch on everybody's list here, but if that's something that you're interested in, then let me know down in the comments, and maybe we can get something worked out there for that, because I think that could be kind of fun. I know that a lot of times there can be a lot of different, comments, people watch this, it seems like on a fairly regular basis. I do appreciate the huge number of people really that tune in and watch these. And I know sometimes, case being like right now, I do speed through this stuff a little bit, and maybe it's helpful to slow down a little bit and just, answer some questions that you might have. So, yeah, by all means. So I should add, while we're talking about things like that, I'm kind of blasting through here, like I said, a little bit. One of the things that I'm just kind of working out is how I can kind of make this modular. So it's probably no surprise that this font has kind of turned out to be a fairly modular typeface, and if I'm being very honest, it was the intent from the start, just to make something simple, basic, easy to kind of get started with here. So that's kind of where I'm going with all of these. I definitely probably could spend more time on some of these different shapes or things, but it kind of does what it needs to do, I think. So I think nope, the 9 went down another line there. What you don't see is that I have a professional mic in front of me, and so sometimes I miss obvious things like that when it's in the bottom of the screen and I can't see it. But that's how it goes sometimes. So, but yeah, I have to say I really did enjoy this series. It was fun being able to kind of work through some of this typeface, figuring out. Like I said when I started, this is a very different style than what I'm used to doing or working with. And I think if there's anything that I've appreciated from this process, it's been that it's just kind of challenged me to think outside the box a little bit. There isn't, it's, I don't know. It felt like a really good exercise. And so hopefully you, the viewer have kind of gotten that as well. If anything, I'm hoping this has also kind of inspired people to think outside the box themselves as far as, different things that you could do with a typeface, especially if you're like me, where you kind of get stuck in a rut. Maybe you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. It's just kind of nice just to change things up a little bit. And so for that, I think it's been pretty fun. So, unfortunately, as far as designing all of these characters go, I don't really have a good way of doing this. Like what I kind of started out with when we very first started the series here, and I mentioned, we have things like our control characters. Truth be told, numbers I really don't work with that often, and so as a result, I don't have this process down as well as I should, if I'm being completely honest. So that said, I'm kind of making this stuff up as I go a little bit, and I figured it's probably just worth it to be open about that from the start here. I'm effectively, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going, okay, this part, like on the 5 here, I know I need kind of that square top, but then we've got this next part down here, which to me, it kind of reminds me of like a lowercase c a little bit. So in my mind, it's like, okay, that makes total sense. Let's make it that way, and maybe that'll work. Time will tell if it actually does, but in the meantime, here we are. This could look like a total train wreck too. I'm not going to rule that out. I am going to use, I think I'm going to use the 6 as kind of my measurement. Yeah, so it looks like this actually needs to get a little bit wider on this side. I think that's okay. We'll also zoom in here a little bit and we'll get this lined up as well. So I think that should look all right. And then it's just going to be a matter of kind of working this shape out a little bit here. And it is kind of a mess, but see, another thing too, I'm going to kind of narrow that up a little bit. Actually, it'd be kind of fun, since we do have some angles going on here, and I'm at this point, let's just be honest, I'm just having fun now. But yeah, that actually kind of works. We'll get these lines to look a little bit more parallel. I think that's not too terrible. I mean, it definitely could use some work too, if I'm gonna be completely honest here, but not too bad, I don't think. I mean, it looks like a 5. I mean, ultimately that's what I'm after, and it seems that I do have my 5. The other thing that I'm going to do too is actually just maybe shorten that down a little bit. Again, you know, we still have to worry about things like overshoot, and I guess I've primarily been designing around characters, haven't had to think about that, but there we go. So a 5 seems to kind of relate to a 2 in a way, and we'll kind of get this all moved around the right way. Now, I think for the 2, and I'm just using the O to space these, because numbers, at least these numbers, tend to be a little bit more round. I'm going to move this up just a little bit. I think I'm going to have to redo, yeah, I am going to redo this bottom piece here. Actually, I think it's even too low. So there we go. The other thing that I'm going to keep in mind as well is, as I get all this lined up, I'm not paying attention too close to my heights, so I guess we could probably even think about this more like a rough draft. So I think what I'm going to do for this next part here, so we're going to rotate this. This will make sense in a moment what I'm doing. Because what I want is effectively this. I think you can kind of see where I'm going here. This is going to be a little bit messy to start, but I think I can probably make this work. At least in my head, I think I can make it work. We're going to go ahead and open this corner as well. I do kind of like that angle there. It just kind of breaks that up a little bit. You know, if I do that, just jumping back over to the 5 here, I probably should do that here as well. So I think I am kind of jumping around a little bit here, but let's open up some of these corners again, because I just merged all of those shapes together. And let's add some points here just to mimic that shape. So again, kind of eyeballing it, but at least that way we've kind of got some relationship there. I think I'm also just going to kind of bring this down a little bit well and open up the top of that too a little bit more. So that kind of helps it out a little bit more, I think. It does feel a bit wide too. So maybe something like that. Now, truth be told, I'm kind of doing this more in kind of a rough sketch mode, also keeping an eye on my time too, but you know, I'd probably go back and maybe just you know, do a double check on some of these things that they're progressing the way that I would like them to. I think that'll work. Now that I've got that space here, we'll kind of even that out a little bit more as well. Alright. So, with all of those out of the way, we'll kind of get rid of the stuff here that I'm not using. So 1, 2, 3, there's an extra 0 there. So, jumping back here, 3, 4, 7, and 8. I guess the 8, as my screen bounces around, and my apologies, what we will do is, I think the lowercase o might work fairly well for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and stack 2 of these together. And what can we get away with? Because height is going to be our issue here. Yep, still too tall. I'm also going to put a 0 next to it there, because I mean that's what I'm aiming for. Or wait, did I put an O there? I meant a 0. Let's try that again. There we go. So it's got to move down quite a bit, and I think that's actually the whole thing can even kind of bump down a little bit more there. So I'm not too far off, but it still doesn't get rid of the problem that I was having, which is that's quite the mess going on there. Now, one thing that I was thinking of doing, and we're going to try this. Yeah, I'm just going to go for it. So we're going to cut it off there and there. I don't know. That does kind of look a little bit awkward. And I know for the B that I went just straight across there. I'm trying to avoid having that be my solution if I can. I just don't know. You know, the other thing I have to keep in mind too is that I also need to move these points in a little bit. That's probably too much. So let's back these off just a little bit. Still kind of feels a little bit stuck. Well, let's merge all of these together just to kind of clean up what I'm looking at. I do see that I have some space. Oh, there we go. Towards the top there. I mean, it is kind of getting there. I think the other thing that might help too, and this does kind of maybe go a little bit against my conventions here a little bit, but maybe if I can get this to line up, so actually, or does it need to go the other way? Well, so if you think about an 8, it's basically an S with, actually, as I say that, let's bring out the S. So I did kind of go straight across there. That may help with this traffic jam of points here. So let's think about how I can do this. So I'm going to move those out of the way. This is, we're really going to break things here to make this work. So let's take all of these points. I'm going to take advantage that I can move that down a little bit more. And then what I'm going to do, so these two lines should probably line up a little bit better. And let's do this. So somewhere out there I am making a professional type designer cry by making all these moves here. I'm hoping at some point this works out into something that looks reasonable. Oop. So let's correct all those. Oh, that did totally not work. So I know what I'm trying to get at. I'm just not happy with where it's going. So what I want to do is have these two lines kind of line up that way. I'm wondering, do I just kind of own that that comes to a point? Maybe that helps me out a little bit. Snap it there. This would need to come up a little bit more that way. Maybe I'm getting somewhere here. So we'll snap that into place there. I'm going to move that further down. This is a very messy thought process. But there, I think in a terrible way we're getting somewhere. So I can kind of work with that. I'm going to merge everything together here. I know this is really getting out of control now. But we'll open those points back up. And I will open these back up as well. Because kind of what I'm thinking is, seems we got a couple rogue points there. Let's get all that cleaned up. So if I move that in there, what I'm trying to do is if I take these 2 points, kind of shift them up a little bit that way. That then, so effectively what I'm kind of doing here too, if you remember our X, with kind of that look that it had of, you know, the lines didn't perfectly line up. That's, I mean, ultimately what I'm kind of after here in a roundabout way. And then the other thing that I'm working on as well is trying to make it so that this line through the middle then lines up in somewhat of a decent way as well. So I mean, you can kind of see that it's sort of getting there now. This looks too thick. This is a very sketchy thing going on here. I mean, it's kind of getting there. This is a very, very rough letter going on here, or number, I should say. Like, I would definitely not put this on my own portfolio. Unfortunately, it exists on YouTube, so at some point somebody's going to run across this someday. So I guess I can't even tell you that I wouldn't put it in my portfolio, because in a way it is already there. So apologies to anybody who finds this in the future, but I will own what I'm doing here. So let's probably can thicken that one up a little bit. Whoops. So that was an open corner. I think this, yep, was an open corner. So let's kind of separate these a little bit and makes it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. The other thing that I think I need to do, that kind of thins that up as well. So I mean, it's getting there. This is not a beautiful 8, and I profusely apologize to it. But for the sake of moving on, I think we're going to maybe tackle the last few things here and call it a day on this. So, since we just got done with that 3, or with the 8, let's bump over to the 3 here, and let's see what kind of damage I can do for this. So, for this, at least in my mind, seems a little bit easier to jump in and edit. So what I want to do here, we're just going to kind of make this like some sort of open style 3. I think that would work. And yeah. And who knows, maybe this eventually serves inspiration for a better looking 8. That would be my goal or my hope. But in the meantime, we're just gonna kind of make this flow together a little bit better. So let's straighten these out. Maybe something like that. Kind of fun. And then just good practice, I'm going to go ahead and open these corners up. I mean, it's not terrible. I've definitely done worse. Kind of stretch that a little bit. The other thing that I'm going to do, we're going to kind of move these points around just a little bit. I mean, it's kind of a funky looking 3, but I guess it kind of works. It is a little bit on the thin side. Maybe we do open that back up just a little bit more there. I'm loosely kind of eyeballing this as well. It seems to work all right. I don't know if I'm really feeling this part as much. Before I commit, I'm just... Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. Yeah, there's kind of some funkiness going on there. Yeah, it makes it fun. Alright, so a 4 and a 7. Let's bring this home. So, a 4, we're going to steal the 1. Let's see, what else can I steal? The H. We've got the crossbar for that. I think that would sit lower too. I don't need that portion, but I'll kind of get that in there a little bit more. I'm also probably going to have to widen this out a fair amount as well. How much though? Maybe something like that. Let's try it. And then we will take these 2 points here. And I'm going to deal with these kind of in 2 different parts here. So first thing we're going to do is just kind of line everything up so it fits that way. We should also kind of have this stick out just a little bit. Then we're going to have that taper in a little bit as well. I mean, honestly, that's... You know, when you compare it to what was going on with the 8, this is actually working out a lot better. I am going to merge these 2 shapes together so I can open that corner and then take this. Actually, you know what? Let's back up a second here. What would happen if I just made the 4 open? Ooh, maybe this is a more fun way to do it. Maybe. You know what? It's different. I kind of don't mind it, if I'm honest. Just kind of widen it out a little bit too. I think I can get away with that. It's got some fun stuff going on. And then last but not least, we have the 7, and I'm going to steal a couple of... Well, yeah, we'll steal a couple of parts for this. And then let's just bring this home here. So, hopefully you did enjoy this series. I know it did kind of go on for a bit of time, but, you know, if you're looking to dip your toe into glyphs, you know, hopefully you found this fun, entertaining at the very least, maybe inspirational, and maybe it inspires you to design your own font. And like I said before, just to re-mention it again, if you are watching this prior to March 6th, 2021, I will be doing an online workshop with the League of Movable Type on March 6th, and I believe that is at noon Eastern time. And I would definitely enjoy seeing some of the YouTube folks over there while I do that. I'm pretty sure their seats still available, at least as of this recording, so you're not too late to sign up if that's something that you're interested in. As much as I will be going through the app itself and kind of slowing down and going a little bit more over what I do with my process, there will also be a Q&A as well. So if you have any questions that maybe I don't get to on this channel, or you've got some specific questions that you just want to have somebody cover, that would be the perfect opportunity to do it. One of the other things that I'm really excited about that the League is doing with this is they are making it pretty affordable too. So this isn't one of those things where you're going to be spending a decent amount of money. I believe if you are a League of Movable type member, you can get into the class for $29.99 US. If you're not a member of the league, and while I do recommend becoming a member of the league, but maybe if it's just not in the cards for now, you can join still. I believe the price is $39.99 for that. So, yeah, I think we've got something good here. So just kind of wrapping a few pieces up here. I'm just kind of going through and playing with this 7 a little bit more, just to give it some shape, maybe make it kind of work out a little bit better there. It is a goofy looking 7, almost kind of looks like a question mark a little bit, which is kind of fun. But again, you know, the whole purpose of this series, and really any series I think that I do on YouTube when it comes to designing a font, is to have fun, because at the end of the day, especially if you're starting out, I think that is the most important thing that you can do, is have fun. Eventually, as you get, you know, more experienced with this stuff, you know, you can certainly, you know, start getting more serious about it. But you know, in the meantime, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun. So there we go. Make sure I have all of my numbers in place there. But I'd say that looks pretty good for a set of numbers. So for the next episode, I think we'll do a little bit of Q&A if we've got some questions in, and feel free to really ask anything about type design, if it's glyphs-mini, if it's glyphs, if it's about drawing characters. I'd love to answer as many questions as I can, because I just think that'd be a lot of fun. And you know, from there we'll see what we do. I'm very positive that there will be a new series coming out soon. I do have a couple different ideas of what I want to do. Of course, I'm always willing to listen to what my subscribers have to say. If anybody has any input on that as well, I'm certainly all game. Because again, it's fun being able to draw letters and have everyone watch as I draw them. So until then, hopefully you enjoyed the series. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.